Hey Divination, thank you for joining us in this live stream. Today we'll show you how to add post category menu widgets to your Divi footer inside the Divi theme builder. So we'll show you how to do it from scratch, and if you're non-elegant themes member yet, make sure that you check out Divi. I've mentioned a link to the product page where you can go ahead and discover everything for yourself. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so I want to say hi to everyone on YouTube and on Facebook. If you guys have any questions, make sure that you leave a comment in the comment section on both of them. So what we'll do within this live stream tutorial is show you how to create a custom footer using Divi's theme builder and add post category menu widgets to it. So let's just take a quick look at the outcome. You are able to style this however you want. The style that we're using throughout this tutorial matches the food recipes layout pack really well. So this is the bottom footer over here that you can notice with all of the different post categories. So this works really well with blogs, right? So any kind of blog website you want to set up, if you want to include those, post categories inside your footer, you'll be able to do that using this tutorial. So you'll be able to style it using the Divi theme builder, the entire, Divi environment that you're already used to. So we're basically going from this kind of, default WordPress design to a custom built one with dynamically showing up these kind of like footer items, which are the post categories, which we'll build in the back end of our WordPress website. So the method, the approach remains really similar as if you were just like building a footer without the theme builder, if that makes sense. So the first part is obviously making sure that you have all of the post categories set up. So I'm just going to navigate over here to the back end of my WordPress website, and if I go to posts categories, you'll be able to see all of the different post categories that I've set up for this particular food recipes website. So before getting started with the Divi part of the tutorial, I recommend you definitely set up the categories first. So as you can notice over here in the preview, so I didn't show you guys the preview on small screen sizes as well, so this is what you can expect there. But you can definitely notice that we have three sets of post category menus, which are turned into widgets. So that's why over here in the back end I have three different groups as well. So I have the type of dish, type of food, type of meal, which I will all split up into different menus. And then I'm also adding a recent posts widget to my footer as well. But this could be anything you want, and you can combine it with Divi's built-in modules as well, such as the email opt-in form and so on. All right, so make sure that you have this set up by, of course, just, adding all of the categories. And for instance, this one, the type of dish is the parent category. So when I added the fruits and vegetable ones, I selected type of dish before clicking on add new category. So make sure that you have three, if you want to recreate this tutorial exactly the way you were able to see it in the preview, make sure that you have three groups of categories with each, a few different categories in them. All right. Next up, we're going to go to the menus inside our WordPress backend over here. And over here, you can notice that I've created three different menus, and that'll be necessary for you guys to be able to split them up. So each one of the main categories, post categories, will be placed in a separate footer menu. So to create a new menu, you can just click over here on create new menu. I'm just gonna select the ones that I've created over here. So here I have the first set of post categories, and let me just pull out the categories over here for you guys to be able to compare. All right, so type of meal over here is the first footer menu. We have breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, snacks. So these are all of the subcategories that I've added to this new footer menu, which I've given a name. So make sure that you give it a name and add those categories. Now to add those categories, you'll simply have to go to categories over here in the left sidebar And if you go to view all, you'll be able to see all of your post categories. So for instance, now when adding like the breakfast, lunch, dinner ones, you can just select it over here and click on add to menu, and then make sure that you save the menu as well. So that's the first one, and I've repeated those exact same steps for the second and the third footer menu, which I've created by again clicking on create new menu. So this is the second one, categories, view all, select the ones that you want to add, and click on add to menu. And same goes for the third one. Here we have the third group of categories which we want to showcase inside our Divi footer. All right, so these are the general WordPress steps that you have to take before actually getting started with Divi. So I'm just going to take a quick look to see if you guys are following along. I see some people have joined in on both YouTube and Facebook, but I don't see any questions so far. So if you guys have any questions, make sure that you leave a comment. And I'll be checking on those quite frequently. All right, so now we can move on to the Divi part of it all. So before actually going to the Divi part, because I skipped a step there, we have the menus now. We have to still create the widgets, which will then add to the Divi theme builder. So go to the appearance and widgets over here. And once you've created your menus inside the backend of your WordPress website, you'll be able to select them within certain widgets, right? So I've already set these up. And the one that we're using, so the widget we're using is default to WordPress. It's called the navigation menu over here. And if you toggle it, you'll be able to add it to one of the sidebars or like areas within your widget settings over here. So you'll need to do that for each one of the footer areas. So we're using 4 areas, but you can use 5 or 6 if you want to add extra post categories, or if you want to add more than one menu inside a footer area, for instance, but we're sticking with 4. So what you'll need to do is add a navigation menu to each one of these individually by selecting it and selecting the area you want to place it in, add to that area. So over here I have now a duplicate, but as soon as it's added to my footer area, I can select the footer menu, which I've built in the backend of my WordPress website. So you'll need to do that for each one of the footer areas. So the first footer menu goes in the first footer area. The second footer menu goes in the second footer area. The third footer menu we've created goes in the third footer area. And in the fourth footer area, we're placing another widget, the recent posts one, which you can also find over here on the left side, recent posts. If I toggle this, I can place it in the fourth footer area, and by default it shows 5 posts, but you can decide for yourself how many you would like to show up. All right, so once you have the widgets, it's time to move on to the Divi builder. Now for real. So go to the Divi theme builder. And over here, so this is the footer template that I've built for the preview that you guys were able to see. So this one over here. And then I have another page on which I have not enabled this global footer. So I'll build a new one from scratch. But of course you can see those, those widgets show up within my footer because I placed them in the footer area. But now we can just take this and build the design that we want and include those widgets using the Divi Sidebar Module, which we'll get to in a sec. So over here, I'm going to add a new custom footer, build custom footer. And we're going to create the entire footer within one section. So before adding any rows or modules, I'm going to open the row settings and make some design changes to it, starting with the background color, which will be the following one. So again, this matches the food recipes layout pack really well, but you can fine tune this as much as you want. So in the last part of this, footer creation process, we're gonna add the sidebars with all of the post navigation menu widgets. So as long as you just follow that part, you should be good. And concerning the style, you can do whatever you want using Divi's built-in options. Next, I'm gonna select a background image. I'm gonna make it fit over here. Now I'll go to the design tab. And over here, I'm going to remove all default top and bottom padding by adding 0 pixels to both options. So now that I have the general section settings in place, I can add a new row. So the row that I'm using first is the following one. So that'll be the row containing the title and the logo over here. So before adding any modules, I'm going to open the row settings. And I'm using a gradient background for it with the following color codes. So let me just grab those. These are kind of like transparent colors, the first one, and then the second one. Let me grab that one as well. All right, so this gives this kind of, fading in and out effect that we're looking to achieve. Then I'll go to the design tab, and over here in the sizing settings, I'm going to enable use custom gutter width, place this to 1, and I'm also going to equalize the column heights and increase the max width to 1680 pixels. This will just, stretch it a little bit on the left and the right side. All right. And I'm also going to remove all default top and bottom padding by adding 0 pixels to both options. Now that I have the general row settings in place, I can open the column 1 settings, go to the design tab. Over here, I'm going to add 5 pixels for the top and the bottom padding, and 5% for each one of these options. So top, bottom, left, right is 5%. I'm also adding a right border, and I'm using 2 pixels on desktop, and I'm turning that into 0 on smaller screen sizes where the column stacking order is kind of differently, so it wouldn't match there. And let me just change the border color as well. So we're using this color code kind of, I think it's the same as the section background color. And then I can go to the column 2 settings. Here I'm also going to add some padding. So 5% for each one of these options. This will just help us give some space to the column for it to breathe. So, all right. Now that we have all of the row settings in place, we can add modules, starting with an image module in column 1. We're using this image module to upload our logo. And in the second column, we're adding a text module. And over here, you can just make it clear that, the items below are meant to be searched through so that they're categories. Let me just turn this into an H2. I'm going to select this and turn this into an H2. And then I'll go to the heading text settings. So again, you can use any kind of style you want. Like the modules that I'm adding right now are pretty, user experience wise, I feel like they're necessary, especially the title. So people have it clear that they can click on certain items. And over here, we're going to modify the heading font to Cormorant Garamond. I'm using medium for the font weight, a white text color, and then I'll increase the text size to 40 pixels on tablet and desktop, and on phone I'm using 35 pixels. And then I'm also going to increase the line height to 1.3 EM. All right, so now that we have the first row in place, we can add the second row, and this row will contain our sidebar. So before I go any further, I'm just gonna check the comments. So someone's asking, so MD Ali Noor is asking, can we add widgets on this kind of area? Yes, using the sidebar menu. So that'll be the next part of this tutorial, which we'll go through right now. We're going to add all of the different post category menus that we've created in the first part of this tutorial using the sidebar modules. So I'll select a row with 4 columns for that. And before adding modules, I'm going to open the row settings. I'm going to add a semi-transparent background color. Then I'll go to the design tab, and over here in the sizing settings, I'm going to use custom gutter width, put this to 1. This will just remove all space between columns. I'm also going to equalize the column heights, and I'm using the same max width for this row as I did for the previous one, being 1680 pixels. And then I'll go to the spacing settings, and I'm going to remove all default top and bottom padding by adding 0 pixels to each one of them. Next, we're going to add some spacing settings just to give our footer, all of the items, the widgets that we placed, some space to breathe. I'm going to add 5% to each one of these options. So top, bottom, left, and right. Now you can add this to each one of the columns individually, or you can click on Extend Spacing Styles, and select columns throughout this row. And then I'm going to extend it. So now each one of my columns, you can see right here with, this kind of icon where it is positions, means that, there's padding for each one of the columns. All right. And then I'm going to add over here, if I go to the preview again, we have some subtle borders here. So I'll need to add that on an individual level because the properties are kind of different for each column depending on the device that it's displayed on. So we'll need to modify the responsive settings. So first, column 1, I'm adding 2 pixels on desktop and tablet, and I'm removing it on phone. So this is the color code that we're using, the same one as the section background color. So 2 pixels on desktop and tablet, and then 0 pixels on phone. So it doesn't make sense to have it on phone, that's why we're leaving it out. And then we'll go to the second one, the second column. Here we're adding 2 pixels on desktop only, and removing it on both tablet and phone. All right, and the last one contains the same settings as, so the third column contains the same settings as the first one. So we're using 2 pixels right border for desktop and tablet. So I'm just going to copy these column settings of the first column and paste them onto the third one. And here we have it. All right, so now we can focus on adding the different post category menu widgets. To do that, we'll use the sidebar module. I know I haven't used it a lot throughout my Divi, builds, but it's a really helpful module that you should definitely explore, starting with this tutorial. So over here, once you add it, select the footer area, the first one that you built. You can automatically see the items show up that you've added to your first footer menu because, it's part of the footer area. We'll go to the layout over here and we'll hide the border separators. So we'll toggle it to no. And then in the body text settings, we're gonna match this with the food recipes layout back by using Montserrat as the body font, a medium font weight, a white text color, and we're using 13 pixels for the text size. And over here in the spacing settings, I'm going to add 5% to the top and bottom padding options just to create a little bit more space. And now that I have the first sidebar module, I can just clone this twice and place the duplicates in column 2 and 3. Now the only thing that I need to do over here is change the footer widget area to 2 for the second column. So this will contain the second footer menu that we've built in the back end of our WordPress website. And over here, I'm going to select the footer area number 3 for the third column. And now we only have one footer area left to add, so one widget, and I'm going to add a new sidebar for that. So this this last column will show the recent posts which we've added to the fourth footer area over here. So I'll just select that. And over here we have a title, so that's kind of the difference between that and the body text color between the previous sidebar that we've added and this one. So over here we need to style the title to match, the layout pack that we're using, which is the food recipes layout pack. And over here I'm gonna increase the text size to 30 pixels. I'm using a white text color. And then in the body text settings, I'm again using Montserrat for the body font, a medium body font weight. Let me just change the color into this kind of grayish color just to create some difference between the title and the body. And I'm also going to add 5% to the top and the bottom padding of this sidebar module, and that's it. We have our footer here. So again, you can modify this however you want, and people will be able to click on all of these items and be redirected to the category, and you'll still be able to manage all of the post categories in the backend of your WordPress website instead of adding text modules with links, for instance, which you can also do. We've done that in a few tutorials. It really depends on what you prefer. If you're used to the backend, so the menu structure and just the way it's all organized within Divi, you can definitely do that with a Divi theme builder as shown in this tutorial. So this is the page we've added a new footer on. If I refresh this, I should be able to see the new footer, which is the following one over here. So each one of these items is clickable and you can customize the look and feel however you want. All right, so I'm going to take a quick look at the comment section. So Karen's asking, could you have made those text settings a preset and applied it? Yes, I could have. I could have created a global preset for the sidebar module. For instance, for the first one over here, I could have created a new preset and then added a new sidebar module to column 2 and 3 and just simply apply the global presets. Maybe I should start doing that in future live streams. So try to work a little bit more with global presets. But in this case, I mean, since it's a one-off, didn't really make sense to use global presets, but yes, you can. That's the answer. It's going to take a quick look on Facebook as well. So I don't see any questions anymore. So that was all for this live stream. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and we hope that you're enjoying this ongoing Divi design initiative where we try to put something extra into your design toolbox each and every week. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.